The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan with you for the weekly perspective, last day of March 2017. Well, Wolf Richter certainly comes up with some good articles. This one, shock horror, ECB not as independent as it claims. This report from Transparency International talks about the non-independence of the ECB and what their mandate is, which is basically price stability, and how little they have done in that regard. Very good article. I suggest you read it. And another article for this week's weekly perspective consideration. This is from theautomaticearth.com, and this article is entitled, "Our Economies Run on Housing Bubbles." A fairly lengthy article, well thought out, talking about basically the debt problem, and the only thing that really appears to be growing is debt, and how the housing bubble has taken hold basically throughout the consciousness of the quote-unquote free world or westernized cultures. Of course, Australia fits in there. How basically the Anglo-American Empire has created something for nothing through the monetary system, and showing how huge the housing increases have been in price. And the United States is actually moderate by comparison to Canada, Britain, Australia, or New Zealand. And what really happens at the end of this debt. I usually don't pay a lot of attention to the comments, especially on the work that I do. I have someone in the Philippines that actually answers some of the more interesting comments. But on this one, almost everyone that I read actually had something to contribute, which is the beauty of the internet. It can be a very great place to discuss things. So I really recommend, if you're going to just read one article this weekend, I suggest highly that you read "Our Economies Run on Housing Bubbles." And moving into the precious metals, which I do almost every weekly wrap-up, I chose to use this Reuters article, "India Gold Recycling Plan Fails to Tempt Households." I mean, whatever you think about India, one thing is for certain. The gold bugs there understand fiat currency. They understand government-issued script and what it means. So there has been a massive move over the last 16 months for the Indian government to basically get the Indian people to part with their worn-out gold trinkets, etc., and turn them in. But it's been a massive failure. And I have to kind of laugh at it because that is smart. What you saw in the U.S. when gold was around I think it was $1,100 an ounce level, there was all kinds of "We Buy Gold" signs and shops and tours that would go into hotels and set up shop and buy gold. And these things are really a ripoff. They're giving people usually about 30 cents on the dollar, but most people don't know any better, so they turn in their broken earrings and rings and necklaces, etc., and get cash on the spot. And lastly, touching on the silver market, from the Silver Institute, put out this release at the end of the year last year that 600 million ounces of silver to be consumed in photovoltaics and ethylene oxide production through 2020. That's in the next 3-4 years, and 600 million ounces is a lot of silver. So you can check this out. Solar panels have been increasing basically from 2000. And we see in 2018 there's going to be huge demand, and it should fall off according to the metrics that the Silver Institute is using. But a great deal of silver used in photovoltaics, and it will continue to increase over the next 3 to 4 years. And that's a wrap-up for this weekly perspective. I just finished an interview with Jim Paplava on Financial Sense, and he asked me if there was enough emphasis on silver demand on the industrial side to cause movement in the price due to offtake, and I answered yes, and basically this was my argument. So until next week, I wish everybody a great week.